Good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome everyone, all of our Rotarians and our guests today. Today is November 23rd. We're celebrating our Thanksgiving edition of Rotary. Hope y'all are enjoying this wonderful food. Chad's enjoying it so much. I know he's talking about how much he likes the food. No, I'm so happy to have y'all here with us. And if we have any guests or Rotarians that are on Zoom, please identify yourself in the chat. And if you're watching on YouTube, please register your participation by sending an email to info@rotarygainesville.org. All right, Pete Enwall, you got a song and pledge for us?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, over the weekend, I had occasion to go on a farm tour, and it was a dairy farm. And so the farmer was showing us all the cows and everything. They were lined up, you know, getting ready to give their milk. And there's one cow at the end that was laying down. And I said, what about that cow? And he said, that cow is the most self-centered, narcissistic cow I have ever had. I said, what? He said, yeah. So I went down there and I looked in the cow's eyes, and the cow looked back at me, and she went, me. Just keep sending them in. Keep sending them in. Keep sending them in. All right, so we're going to sing My Country 'Tis of Thee today. My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. Join me in pledging allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Pete. I believe we have Kevin Thorpe on Zoom.
May we pray. Lord, we are eternally grateful for this day. We thank you for every door of opportunity that you open. We thank you for every negative door that you close. We are especially grateful during this season. We thank you for all things that you have done. We pray specifically for families who have experienced loss, that you would comfort them in ways that only you can. We thank you for today's presentation. Continue to make us mindful of those who are less fortunate than we are, and those who are struggling with shelter, food, and clothing. Cover us, we pray, for your sake and for your glory. Amen.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. If we have any visiting Rotarians or guests, we would love if you would stand at your table, and Don will bring the microphone around.
Hello, I'm Tony Barr. This is Prince Aressa. He's somewhat new to Gainesville. He is from Nigeria, and he has a connection with Brendan Shortley through Grace Marketplace. When he came to Gainesville, he was without a credit card, and they sent him over to Grace Marketplace, and he loved it there. And they sent him to House of Hope, and he started to live there. And his calling is to help these people. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. This afternoon, I have my much older brother, Steve from New Hampshire.
Welcome.
Hello, Rotarians. Today I brought my husband, Don Neiman, to join us for lunch.
Welcome, Don. Okay. Okay, and Davis has a guest.
Thank you. I'm Davis Rembert, and my brother-in-law, Sandy Creighton, from Gainesville, down from Boston, as he does every year this time of the year. Welcome, Sandy.
Welcome. Okay. Welcome to all of our guests. So glad to have you with us. Okay, we have quite a few announcements. We're going to go ahead and run through them. I'm going to give you your favorite one first, which I know is John Gregory with his Thanksgiving poem.
This poem is called Grandma's Thanksgiving. Jason and Chad were feeling quite perky. About Thanksgiving Day, they'd be murky. Shank showed his glimmer. We had Grandma for dinner. Really, said King. We had turkey. Woo! Wow, the size of those turkeys, Sally said. Must mean they've really been fed. She thought they'd be meager. Do they get any bigger? Stock Boys replied, no, they're dead. Alice to Tim, the number of cooks she'd pinned. To stuff a turkey, she'd been challenged to win. The answer is, Tim said, only one, he pled. But he really has to squeeze to get in. Stuff that... At Thanksgiving, the food sits and beckons, but his weight will increase, Ellett reckons. The weight that ends aren't the minutes he spends. It's usually the results of the seconds. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you very much, John. Okay, Linda's waiting patiently. I'm going to let her go ahead and talk about Bread of the Mighty Food Bank.
Hello, fellow Rotarians. Hey! As we kick off the holiday season, we will be doing our Bread of the Mighty food drive again. We will be starting December 1st and run through the middle of January. Obviously, we always choose to go into the beginning of the year so that we can help the food bank restock after the generosity of the giving throughout the holiday season. So we will have the ability to donate online via DAC TV. That link will go live December 1st, and watch for the link in the newsletter. And then we will be accepting donations on site starting the first meeting in December. So bring your canned goods. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much, Linda. Pete, you want to give your announcement about our December fellowship?
As many of you know, for years, Gordon and Kay Hubble had a Christmas party at their house. And last year we couldn't have it. They couldn't have it because of COVID. But this year they're going to do it again. So I know that many of you have attended it. It is going to be on December 9th at the home of Gordon and Kay Hubble from 7 to 9. We're going to have food. We're going to sing Christmas carols, and we're going to do everything that we usually do at Gordon and Kay Hubble's party and enjoy each other's company. I will mention that there's a limit of 30 people. So, and it usually fills up. So if you have an interest in, and your spouses are also welcome, or significant others, if you have an interest in coming, I would urge you to sign up as quickly as you can. And by sign up, I think that's either directly with Gordon or directly with me. So anyway, December 9th, put it on your calendar and sign up.
Thank you very much, Pete. Jason, you want to talk to us about the Wild Game Feast?
Thank you so much, Chad. Good afternoon, everybody. Listen, life is good. And I'll say that. It's great to see everybody out here. And this starts off where we're going to have turkey on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, probably Saturday before the game. So it's pretty exciting. If any of you didn't scan your badge today, I found Chad's in the bunch when I came in and scanned it for lunch. So it works out really well. So you may want to do that. All right, on to sponsorships. What we're asking is for you to reach out. Everybody here again is really on the sponsorship committee. We have a bucket every year that gets filled with our long-term sponsors that just are awesome. They come on every year, they recommit, and they help make this event happen and give back to some great organizations in Gainesville. So what we're looking for outside of that bucket are new sponsors. Outside of Rotary, people that you do business with. Again, Chad's pitch for years was somebody that does business with you that's where you can reach out. Instead of you buying the supplies, they just give you the supplies, they make the donation. So that's kind of how the pitch works. So as you're thinking about this, as we go into the, into next week, when everybody's back from work, think about someone that you can reach out to. And I would encourage all of you to bring us a new sponsor. That's the challenge. So happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jason. Guy Jopling, you want to talk to us about Salvation Army? Time to ring the bell.
So last year I had the opportunity to go ring the bell for the Salvation Army with Matthew, and I must have done such a good job that he volunteered me to be the chair of the bell ringing committee. So we've got the date set. It's December 18th. It will be at the Millhopper Publix from 10 to 6. So what we're going to try to do is have 2 people per hour. So just a quick shift for everybody. I'll get a sign up sheet out to everybody, but looking for everybody to come out. It's a great opportunity to do some good in the community and ring the bell. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Guy. I can certainly relate to voluntold. I like that word. Okay, and Ed Book, you are with us today from Zoom. That's right. Sorry. Thanks for reminding me. He is with us on Zoom, and he's going to talk about Rotary and pickleball. Ed?
Thank you, Melanie. Good afternoon, Rotarians. You have a packed agenda, so I appreciate you letting me make an announcement. For those familiar with Northside Park, it's the home to the Rotary Generations Play Area that about 6 years ago began with an idea that went through our foundation, the Wild Game Feast, with $100,000 put in towards that project, became a $2.1 million park redesign, and it's open. There is a volunteer opportunity in 2 weeks, December 4th and 5th. It is a pickleball tournament at the Rotary Generations Play Area, and all the monies benefit the Alzheimer's Association. One of the Monday Club Rotarians, Miss Ramos, has organized that. And what we're looking for, I hope, is some of you all that may be willing to put in about 2 hours to do 2 things. We're going to staff a Rotary table on behalf of the 4 clubs, and we will do any other task that is necessary to keep that tournament going the 4th and 5th. I know there's a lot of pickleball players. I'm a lousy one, but I am one. And so if you are interested, I've put the link in the chat and my name and number. If you are willing to help December 4th or 5th, couple hours or more, just put your name and phone number in there. I'll call you in the next couple of days or maybe right after Thanksgiving. And hopefully we'll have enough Rotarians to help them with this Alzheimer's benefit pickleball tournament. Thank you, Melanie.
Welcome, Ed. Thank you so much. Okay, we are now at the portion of our meeting where we have a craft talk. And Craig Carter, you have a new member to introduce, if you will.
Okay, good afternoon, Rotarians. Today I get to introduce a friend of mine that I met on the city commission. And when she knew I had to introduce her, she asked me not to do it the way I normally do it, but I'm going to. I met Helen in 2014 in March working a street corner. And the rest of the story, she's giving me the look. The rest of the story is she was waving signs for city commission as I was. She thought for sure Susan Botcher was going to beat me. So she came over to give me her condolences, and which started a dear friendship. And one of the good things that came out of the city commission was meeting Helen and Flo, and we've really developed a sweet friendship. And when it came time to bring her to the Rotary, she was a natural, and she's already plugged in, and I'm honored to call you my friend. Please come up and introduce yourself.
I had told Craig he had to stick to the truth, and he did. And he has been saying that as an introduction for me, that we met on the streets since that time. I want to give thanks to everybody here again, that the community relationships that I see coming out of this organization are very strong and very dear to my heart. I was born in Bangor, Maine. That makes me a maniac by birthright. I was born in March and my diapers were freezing, so we headed south. Actually, my father had gotten a job with the VA. He had been in private practice, family practice in Maine, But with 5 kids already, he wanted more structure to his day, and the house calls and week calls and all of that were running him wild. So we moved to St. Petersburg, where he took a job with the Bay Pines VA hospital there. Life was good. Others have said that today. We lived close enough to the Gulf that we could walk to it. We could ride our bikes without fear of all those other things of strangers now. Swimming, fishing was part of our regular activities. And I was driving a boat before I could drive a car. My parents were interested in local archaeology. So they'd load up the family in the Volkswagen van, primarily to push them out of the sand when we got onto some of the old dirt roads. And we would spend weekends looking for fossils and artifacts of the flora and fauna of prehistoric Florida. My mother was also involved with the local exchange program, similar to what we do here with the Rotary, where we would have students come from another country and send students to another country. Many of those students would end up finishing the year with our house if they hadn't been a good match with their original assignment. Our home became a hub to those visiting students, and years later, our home would be the host of returning students as adults or friends of theirs who had been told, those Warrens are good people to visit. I came to Gainesville in '75 for my junior and senior year at UF, along with the regular coursework for a degree in sociology. One of the best things that I found on campus was a Center for Community Ed, the Charles Mott Center for Community Ed. With my broad liberal arts and sciences background already, the premise of the center was that learning is a lifelong experience, and it's a foundation to a viable community. The first Rotary meeting that I came to, again as Craig's guest, was one where the speaker was Dr. Stringfellow. And his talk about education, again, was really good. And I said, well, maybe these Rotary people have got a good thing going too. I went back to school to get my master's degree in sociology with that Center for Community as the hub of my activities. Hobbies and community interests have included things, years and years of playing soccer and rugby. I'm paying for that now with arthritis and who knows what else. It's pretty painful. But I also became very involved with the local Audubon chapters wherever I was living. And it wasn't all about the birds. It also was about building community and engaging in the protection of the environment. When I've been here in Gainesville, I've been real involved with the Rebuilding Together project. And I've already done some Rotary hours with the rebuilding project we had a few weeks ago. All of these varied and personal experiences have been part to my passion of people working and playing together. My careers have followed a path for the betterment of the community. In Phoenix, I managed a nutrition site for the elderly. When I returned back to St. Petersburg, I worked with the Department of Children, Youth, and Families. That was a pretty painful experience, seeing the way some families show their love or are unable to. And then I went and worked with the program with the Department of Developmental Services, and that was very enriching, again, to see how individuals depend upon the community to help take care of them. Currently, I am a realtor with Berkshire Hathaway, Florida Realty, but the first 16 years I was Helen of Trend. It was ERA, Prudential, and then Berkshire Hathaway, but we finally sold over to a statewide franchise. And that I primarily work with selling homes and assisting people with the purchases of existing homes. I haven't done much with the new construction. Most recently, though, I termed out with 2 terms as a city commissioner in 6 years for the city of Gainesville. And as I reflected on what I learned during that experience as an elected official, I debate and ask myself all the time, what is the role of government? The public expectation covers the whole range of do everything to nothing. And I see Eric here, he and I have had many great conversations about that. And what I have learned is that government cannot do it all, obviously, and it is up to us, the people, to do more. And that's where I love the Rotarian philosophy. One of my last acts as a city commission was to agree to make a proclamation that we are in a climate emergency, similar to preparing for when a hurricane is approaching, and to recognize that it's not something that's going to come in 2030 or 2040 or 2050. It's been here. And yes, climate change has been going on continuously. One of the things that my father would talk about when I was a kid was how there was evidence of Indian villages 100 miles out into the Gulf. But with the recent COVID experience, what we saw across the globe is that many of these large cities that have been problematic with pollution over them got clear air. So that was a reflection that there is something about the human present that can be corrected. And that is a challenge that I've been working on, building conversations within the community. It's building communities in a changing climate, and we're working on developing some workshops where we can go to churches, civic groups, but talk about what is it that we, the people, are doing on a regular basis. And it covers the whole gamut of social services, social justice. The primary thing about building community is building resilience, so that you create that type of community that you see after the fire runs through the city, or when a place has been flooded, where people are saying, you know, we've been neighbors for 10 years and I never knew their name, or, you know, what they did for an occupation. How do you do that before a crisis? And to recognize that we are kind of in a crisis, and that I've gone over 3 minutes and I haven't gotten the hook yet. My closing mantra is very much reflected in this idea that we, the people, need to do more. And I think Shakespeare would allow me for this stretch of his classic. But for me, it has been, if all the world's a stage and we are but its actors, let us be among the ones who act as if it matters. Every day we can affect the quality of life by the way we drive, and recognize that the car next to us has somebody's dear, special family member. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Helen. That was very well done. We're so delighted to have you as a new member. David, I'm going to turn the podium over to you and Helen.
Helen, welcome. I'll just say kind of candidly, when I first met Helen, first time I've ever met the lady was about a month ago, and she just kind of struck me as someone very energetic and had a lot to say to me. And I think Eric has known Helen. We kind of met through Eric, and I was impressed. And, you know, just exchanging emails with Helen and hearing her craft talk today, I'm enthused to see that she actually walks the walk. Welcome to our club, Helen. And I have the 4-way test plaque to give you. You definitely have a Rotarian's heart, and I'm glad you found a home here. Welcome. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It is truly great to see everyone today. I'm once again really glad to see we've got such a good turnout, and welcome everyone who's joining us via Zoom as well. Just a few things I'd like to mention. I'm afraid they may have already run away, but let's go ahead and applaud Pete and Becca from Hills Barbecue and Catering. Anyway, that was just an awesome meal. That's just good stuff. There's a lot of folks kind of working behind the scenes to make these meals work. I know we've talked about it a lot with registration, and I'll report that registration is improving. So thank you everyone for kind of paying that a little more attention. It's going to help us continue to provide these good meals. Just a few other little things I want to mention before we start a fantastic and kind of timely appropriate program today. The Life South Bloodmobile, you may have noticed, is right out front. This is something we've been doing certainly as long as I've been a Rotarian, and it's something, folks, that we ask you just to consider doing. This is up to everyone individually. If you're a blood donor or not, I am, and I know that Craig is, and you know, we would just ask you if you have time to stop by and help some folks. It really makes a big difference. We have our international auction coming up. Finally, it's here. a week from today. I know you guys have seen me up here for several weeks, up here kind of my request was that you consider donating items. Now the request, we've got a lot of items. We're going to have a fantastic auction. Now what I ask you to do is to show up next week and be ready to bid, and even consider bringing some friends or colleagues who might want to participate in this. Just to remind you, the recipient for our international auction this year is Sustainable Cambodia. That's an entity that many of us are really given to. You know, Richard Allen, I know Richard's here. Richard, where are you? Richard's been back there. Richard's back there. He and Elaine have been working really hard on this. So just folks, please come next week and let's have a great auction. We also have our Seafood Fellowship coming up. That's another event we've been talking about a lot. And this one, you know, again, this is something we've kind of done kind of in lieu of the Seafood Spectacular, but this is going to be a great event. We've got, I believe we've got oysters coming now. Wes, aren't we close to that with Kirk? Yeah, I think we're going to have oysters. It's kind of dependent on how much we're able to do in terms of how many folks are coming, but I can tell you we've got quite a turnout already. We've got over 43, 44 folks registered for this event. So it's going to be a neat fellowship out there. I'll tell you the last thing I'll say about that is we're going to need to do a little bit of kind of preparation out there. So myself and several others will be out there during the day on the 2nd, that Thursday, kind of preparing the site. So I know there's a group of maybe 20 or so of us that typically show up for that. So that's also kind of a nice fellowship time when you're working side by side with folks and getting ready for this event. And it's kind of fun to see the event take off and do really well when you've been kind of behind the scenes preparing for it. So looking forward to that too, guys. I am going to now ask my friend Eric Godet to come up. But Eric, before you get up, I just want to tell you guys to please pay attention to this program. I know that Brendan has done a lot of work here, and he's done a lot of work for our community to help homelessness in Gainesville. So Eric, please come up.
Well, good afternoon, Rotarians. It is truly an honor to be here and introduce Brendan Shortley, an individual that needs no introduction to our club. And just to give you a little of Brendan's background, and if you don't know Brendan, he does a lot. When you talk about somebody in this community that's making an impact, he's the guy. So Brendan Shortley started his work with the homeless populations in South Florida in the early to mid 80s. After coming to Gainesville in the late 80s, he continued those efforts individually and with a group of professionals. He later started with Helping Hands in the early years of its humble beginnings at the Salvation Army. Helping Hands Clinic is now a complete medical facility. In addition to being a business owner for over 30 years, Brendan has been recognized by various communities for his research and leadership in the areas of health, education, science, business, and service, including community service awards from city governments in South Florida and in Gainesville. He started his college career at the University of Florida, where he earned degrees in neurobiology, psychology, and pathology. Brendan is involved in the National Association of County and City Health Officials, community health improvement projects and their Healthy Communities initiatives, and Forces of Change steering committees. Brendan is also a frequent university guest lecturer in the colleges of business, chemistry, and liberal arts and sciences, and also the Innovation Academy. Please give a warm Rotary welcome to Brendan Shortley.
Thanks, Eric. And thank you, David. Maybe before I start, I should make an embarrassing admission to you all. When I first was approached by Greg Young, our future president, about doing a presentation on any topic related to this, I gave him the obligatory, well, yeah, I'll think about it. And in my mind, I was saying, no way, Jose. Because I know as a fellow Rotarian, this is a tough crowd for various reasons. We're all on different political sides of the aisle. And I will be the first one to tell you, so maybe this is another admission I should make that should shock some of you, is I'm not going to be here to tell you today that you should help everybody blindly no matter what and not be any discernment at all. Okay. I believe, and when Wesley and I were talking on the parking lot last week, having one of our normal conversations that we have in the parking lot, I said, I believe in helping those who help themselves also. And that was something that maybe you would not hear from me today. You wouldn't think you would hear, but you're going to hear it. But I also believe in helping people across the board if you don't know for sure and you can't make the discernment. In other words, sometimes we're not sure who needs the help and who doesn't. So it's better to err on the side of more help than less help. Because if you can help 10 people and 3 or 4 of them really deserve it, then that's what you have done. You've done your mission. Okay. So we are here to see both sides of the issue. And I'm a former business owner, like Eric just told you. So I've been there. And when we started Grace Marketplace back in 2013, 2014, the original location was downtown. And a lot of business owners were not happy about that. And I was one of them. Okay. That should shock you too. But I will tell you that what we've accomplished as a compromise when we founded the place and what we've done with other clinics in town and our efforts with healthcare and homelessness will hopefully make you proud of this community. So fellow Rotarians and children of all ages, let's buckle our seatbelts. All right, so these are some of the entities that we work with. Of course, I was one of the founders of Grace, but Helping Hands Clinic, county commissioners have been very instrumental. City Commission too, I should give props to our city commissioners that are here today, friends that I really rely on. Helen is amazing, by the way, person did our craft talk today. North Central Florida Alliance for the Homeless in Hungary. Reason there's 5 people in there and that icon that we kind of invented when I was president was to represent the 5 counties. So it's not just Alachua County we're talking about here today, y'all. And I know some of you don't live in Alachua County. So this is all the counties that are around us. Okay, so we're going to jump around to some different topics and we do have a limited time. So I would apologize for the swiftness of this presentation, but I'm going to try to fit it all in. So we're going to do some healthcare. We're going to do some homeless issues. So let's give you a quick, our mission is to, of course, improve physical and mental well-being of the homeless and poor and comprehensive healthcare and also engage our community in contribution in many different ways. So let's give a quick COVID update. I promised some people I would do that today, so I'm going to do that for you quickly. A lot of confirmed cases, of course, that might bore you, but what may not bore you is that the trend is finally improving. We all know this from the news, hopefully, past few months. New case positivity, this is our area only, okay? And of course, adult hospitalizations are going down dramatically. Now that's as of about a month and a half, 2 months ago. The next slide has up to about 2 days ago. And our hospital cases are going down dramatically still. Now they're bottoming out almost. Total COVID inpatients and patients on ventilators, ICU. We're making great strides in a state that is controversially dealing with the issue in a different way than places like California and New York, for example. All right, so let's get into some homelessness stuff here, okay? Now, another shocking announcement maybe is that in this room right now, as I speak, there are at least a handful of people who are successful community leaders who are homeless. They're members of our Rotarian club here, okay? You don't know them because they didn't tell you. They came up to me in confidence over the past year or two because they know what I do. And I will not say their names for that reason, but believe me, they're among you. And again, back to the helping to improve your lot in life, making your lot a better place in life and helping each other is what we do. And that's how we get there. So anyway, so what is the deal with homelessness and how does it relate to health? Well, it's extremely linked. In other words, you will get many associated health problems, conditions, physical and mental. Obviously, ordinary care is hard when you don't even have a bed to lay in, okay? So hopefully we see that obviously as a big relationship. Okay, so let's go to disparities in healthcare affect good health and homeless perpetuation. So I'll say this once, and I'm not here to preach like I said earlier, but I will say that as a community, and we all have the heart of a Rotarian here. Our community is as good as our lowest denominator. Okay. And I think I'm talking today about one of our denominators that we can help. Okay, so the connection again, to emphasize that even more with some numbers, percentages, people who are homeless, what are the incident rates of various common diseases? Well, there you go. Big, big difference between housed on the right and homeless on the left. Okay, hopefully you can see the difference. It is a huge factor, probably one of the biggest. And better health outcomes directly related to housing stability. Okay, so it is a big link. I'm hoping to prove that to you before we move on into deeper areas. Okay, chronic conditions, hypertension, diabetes, so important to try to treat. Behavioral mental health issues. And it is not true that 70–80% of the homeless are mentally ill. Okay, that is not a true fact. Okay, it's much lower, but it is higher than the normal population. Okay, so let's go back to our area. So almost 63%, we've done studies, published journal articles about these stats, okay, when we've interviewed them over many years, report having at least one disability, 63%. That's a huge number. Physical disability and mental disability. Not as much as we might think for the percentage of mental, but it's still there. Okay, what are the reasons for being homeless? Unemployment, of course. Drug and alcohol problems, pretty low percentage, right? We would expect higher, perhaps, some of us, but not as high as we would think. Physical medical problems, 6.9%. And the most shameful maybe percentage is disabled veterans. You know, we have a big heart for the disabled veterans here and veterans in general. My grandfather, father, and son all serve. And I can't believe there's even one veteran that's on the street ever, but it's here. Okay, official definition of homeless is not just a man like that. That's Larry, by the way, comes every week. It's anybody who has not any form of permanent housing. In other words, if you're couch surfing, you know, staying with a friend temporarily, don't have a place to stay, you know, you show up at somebody's house and you don't know what to do with your life, that all counts. Okay, these people are homeless too. And if they're in jail or if they're children, there's homeless children in our community right now, believe it or not. Okay, so to further push that point home, this is a graph of some of our local area. And the hot spots are children age 0 to 5 with verified maltreatment. So is this a perpetuating problem? Is it something that we can not ignore? Hopefully you agree. It keeps going to the next generation and it is self-perpetuating after a while. So we have to break that cycle. And Helping Hands Clinic, by the way, is right in the middle of that area on the right there. That's Main Street over to the right. They're right between those two big orange, most affected areas other than out west there. Okay, another one, Medicaid birth density. So again, maltreatment, poverty, homelessness. What do you get? You get Medicaid, okay? And then, so are we paying? Yes. So should we try to stop that cycle? Absolutely. Like Helen just said a few minutes ago, the government cannot do everything, okay? We have the hearts to know that. We already do that every time we do our projects throughout the year. Okay, homelessness in America. So I'm going to talk about America and then go back local again. This is a trend that was improving until 2016. That bottom of the graph right there is the amount of homeless counts. All those are homeless counts, but the bottom of the graph is the homeless count bottoming out in 2016. And then, of course, boom, right back up again. So this is independent of COVID, okay, independent of the pandemic, but it almost is rising back up to the levels it was back to 2007, 2006. So in other words, we were losing all the progress nationally. Okay, and I say nationally very quickly because we're doing better than that locally. Okay, so that's over 500,000 people in homelessness in America. So how are we combating it in the national and local level? Okay, well, the U.S. Department of Housing decided, well, you know what? Let's start a homeless first program. Now, I'm old-fashioned and old school, probably like most of you, and I learned back when I started this that let's get them sober, let's get them stabilized, let's get them a job, let's get them, you know, cleaned up, and then they'll start to improve. Then we'll put them in a house, and then that'll complete the picture, and then they'll have a great life. Well, that's now done the opposite way. We're housing first. And being a psychology major, I should have realized this, that it makes sense because it changes their context, their lifestyle, their friends, their environment. maybe they have a better chance of not, recidivizing or re-engaging in those behaviors. So basically, this is what just started this, within the past handful of years or so. It started earlier in other areas, but our community really came at it really strongly right back then. So is it working? Well, believe it or not, it is. Okay. But just to push that point home a little bit, if you put somebody in housing, you're changing their medical, mental, behavioral, income, all these things, landlord, sponsorship, relationship. Ellen's very familiar with this. Okay. She's spearheaded a lot of these efforts in our town with landlord-tenant relationships. You give them vouchers, you help pay for things, and basically you get life sustainability. And I'm trying to go a little faster through some of these, but how are we combating it on the local level? Okay, like I said, Helping Hands Clinic, which I helped start back in the late 80s, early 90s. Medical home, Grace. I'd be impressed if some more than 10% of the people in this room knew what Grace stood for. Does anybody know what Grace stands for? The letters GRACE. Gainesville Regional Alachua County Empowerment. Okay, doesn't just stand for the idea of grace, but that does too. Alachua County, of course, and the North Central Florida Alliance. So again, all these same entities we mentioned earlier are all combining many more, but I'm going to concentrate a lot on these. So that's Grace Marketplace. People don't realize how big it is until you see the aerial flyby view. That was a prison, okay? The jail that the state said, well, we're out of here. And it was abandoned, and they took everything with them. We had to spend $100,000 per building just to get the thing back going again. $1.2 million investment just to get it going back in 2013, 2014. But we've housed almost 2,000 people since then. So that's pretty good. In other words, I hope you all are seeing by now the theme. In other words, we're not trying to put them in a room, in a shelter, in a house, in a place, and just warehouse them forever. Okay, I'm looking to improve them, improve themselves, let them feel the pride and the dignity of being a person and a participating part of society again. So when we're talking about housing people, we're transitioning people from that shelter out into the community. And that number of days that it takes to do that is decreasing every year. So it's like 30 to 60 days now. It's very, very important that we just try to get them back up off the last rung of the ladder. Our theme is we want to try to help them off the last rung of the ladder so they don't fall off the ladder. Okay, so what are we doing out there? Some of the things we're doing and many more, but just some quick highlights. Obviously the obvious things, food, clothing, showers, all those kinds of things, of course, you would expect. But the things on the right you may not expect, okay? Veteran services, rent assistance we talked about, computer lab, resume development, culinary training, okay? You name it, we're doing a lot of things. Case management, okay? All right, and we just started a rape crisis center out there, so we're doing that too. Okay, so not an easy population to help, okay? A lot of chronic homelessness going on, 25% more than a year, 50% multiple times. And again, back to that number, over 60% having a disability. That's not easy to overcome. But we're doing it locally, much more than nationally. I will give you a hint about that. And all kinds of programs, we give out stuff, like I'm doing that bike program there. We just lining up the bikes. You can see the look on that guy's face. Just wanted to show you that. He's happy to be able to actually bike to work instead of having to walk to work, where he's exhausted before he even gets to the site. This is what we have to do to try to help. Self-reported needs, of course, healthcare, but something people don't think about are dental care more than even healthcare. If you think about it, if you have a tooth that's in pain all day, all night, are you going to be able to interview for a job or even hold a job for very long if it's every day for months? No. Okay. Not to mention the health concerns and potential death eventually. And of course, transportation. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Helping Hands Clinic. That's our building right there. We moved in there in 2013, so it's a fairly new development. Okay, those are the hours that we do things. We have a women's empowerment program that we're very, very proud of. We'll talk about a little bit later on. And of course, this is what a typical day looks like. Pretty much a circus, but it's a very organized circus. We like it that way, very informal, very family oriented. 50,000 visits since our inception, 12,000 individuals. 100% of our clients are below the income level. And that value of those services, I don't know if you know this, but the state puts a value on the volunteerism, especially in the healthcare field, but any field. And they'd say, okay, a doctor's worth $50 an hour. You know, you and I would be worth less than that. Point is, though, it adds up to almost $1 million per year Just that's 1 year. Okay, so we're a group of volunteers. What are they made of? Physicians, nurses, psychiatrists. We're the only clinic in town that still, to this day, since our inception, has a full spectrum of psychiatric care. A lot of the other clinics don't have meds on site like we do. Psychiatry, we have a contract with the College of Medicine where we bring in psychiatrists. Very proud of that, but it takes people like everybody, social workers, students, people like us. All right, these are just some of the people that I'm proud of. I couldn't help but show you some of them. All right, so more services. Okay, obviously the obvious ones. Okay, urgent and primary care, chronic conditions, psychiatry. But again, other things you wouldn't think of. We do Eastern medicine too. They've been doing it for thousands of years. We've been doing it for hundreds of years. So maybe they don't know something about medicine. Maybe not, maybe so. But we don't want to take any chances, so we do it all. Acupuncture, massage, you name it. Dental and eye care I mentioned earlier. Women's health program, pap smears, pregnancy testing. You know, you may not think about it, but women are the most endangered species on the street. Rape happens every day to this population. We hear stories about it every time we get together. They cry to us. They talk about their stories. They don't even tell the police. They don't tell anybody because they don't trust authority. But we're honored that they trust us enough to tell us so we can help them with our psychosocial support groups and other referrals. And we give them meals and other things that make them feel like a human being. All right, this is one of our meals we're serving. And as you can see from the theme of these pictures, it's all about love. All about being a family. So I'm taking some snapshots over the years just to show you the need. Okay, as you can see, the need is going up. I'm not going to dissect this for more than 10 seconds, but I want you all to see that the need was going steadily up. Of course, COVID changed a little bit of that, but it's starting to increase again from the dip that it took. So obviously, it's important to stay out there and do things. So we're trying to improve effectiveness always. We're also diagnose and refer to labs. We do a lot of blood testing. Believe it or not, we're a full-fledged clinic. And the reason I show you this is because of the look on that lady's face, but also, well, I didn't want to show you that ugly guy who is a college age doing vitals. But the guy to Brendan's left is the plaque that you see there. Actually, it's hard to read here due to the blow up, but that's actually Shan's. Shan's dedicated that building. That's the very first University of Florida building ever in town. That's where it started, right there. We call it Epworth Hall, but there's a plaque devoted to Shan's on there. So we all should recognize that name. All right, making a difference. We have increases in unduplicated clients. Those who run nonprofits, you know what that means. Basically just new, unique people have come in just in the past year or two alone. 87% increase in patient visits right before COVID, of course. 89% increase in psych visits. So we're trying to do something. These are our women lined up for the Women's Empowerment Program. Like I said, we identified that there needs to be a special place that they can feel safe every week. We give them showers, we give them support group, we give them health care. So this is something we felt was very important to do. All right, goals for that. Provide gynecological exams and follow-up care, pelvic exams, STD testing. Well, increase participation. Again, increasing the health denominator on the street. Okay, what did this make a difference in? 11% increase in visits and a 76% increase in unique unduplicated women. Crisis, sexual abuse, domestic abuse counseling as well, like we talked about. 10,000 visits since we incepted this program within recent years. All right, so let's jump back to our homeless trends. This is a national trend, again, a national chart. This is broken down differently by veterans versus youth versus unsheltered versus sheltered. As you can see, it's a very complicated stat when you do it. But I will say that, again, nationwide, it's not looking so good. Well, how's it looking locally? Locally, we've reduced homelessness since 2014. But even in recent years, 136 homeless individuals have been housed just in the past year. On the night of January 25th, the number of people experiencing homelessness in our county was only 521. And of those you know who are familiar with our stats over the years and follow it every time we publish it in the paper, you know that it was much higher before. So it's worth being excited about. This is what we do every year. We do a point in time count. Very complicated. I'll never even try to dissect that for you. So let's move on past it before our head explodes. Okay, but this is what it means. This is the same stats plotted out and with the rest of the years included up to the present. I put some numbers at the top of the highest graphs, 2,257, present day 521. So are we following the national trend? No. Are we doing much better than the national trend? Yes. Should you be proud of yourselves for being a part of this community? Yes, you should. And I thank you for your time.
Brendan, what a wonderful presentation. As I mentioned, I knew that Brendan worked really hard on this. We've been talking about finding a perfect time for Brendan to do this for a little while. Eric's been helping with that. And, you know, I'll say I'm careful not to ever be cliche, but I'll say something that I am truly thankful for related to this club is the opportunity that it's given me to meet and become friends with, enjoy fellowship, and really to build a relationship with someone like Brendan. I don't know if outside of Rotary I would have, well, I know I wouldn't have the relationship I have, but I don't know that we would have met. So Brendan, thank you for your talk and thank you for everything you do for our community. We have our Rotary coin with our service above self motto emblazoned on one side, and the other side, the four-way test. Okay, I won't make you do that. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Let's give Brendan one more round of applause. Okay, and here is the drawing for 50-50 Rotary Reading Safari. We have got 388 is the winning ticket, last three digits, 388. Look forward to seeing everybody next week. Have a happy Thanksgiving.